What's bubbling, magical people? Welcome back to the Witching Hour with Miss Merlin, where we like to talk about all things witchy and magical. I'm your host, Kimmy, aka Miss Merlin, High Priestess and Shamaness, Medicine Woman, Psychic Medium, and Witch Extraordinaire. So let's jump on in. Today, Melly Mel is back, and we are talking about all the astrological chaos that has been happening recently. Is that a good way to put it?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be back. And yes, chaos with a capital C for sure.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, it's been really... Oh. So I'm sure some of you have been wondering where the heck I was last week. And, well...
Do tell, Miss Merlin. Do tell.
We had a crazy ice storm. And I mean crazy. So... freezing rain is really common here in the spring and in the fall because anytime you're hovering around zero, it can happen. But I don't remember in my lifetime ever having an ice storm like this. And it went on for days. So it started Friday night, which was some freezing rain, which we're used to. And it was accompanied by a thunderstorm, which is odd. That is a very odd thing, rare thing to happen. And I was actually doing some magic with Thor and Freya and Odin at the time, and they were answering me back, which was really cool. I did share the video with Mel because I was like, no one's going to believe this.
Yeah, it was wild. Wild.
Yeah, every time I said something, they answered me back immediately with lightning and thunder. So it was so cool. So that night was cool, even though I lost power. And then Saturday, day of the podcast, I recorded it, but had no power, had no internet.
Wow. Yeah.
So I couldn't upload it. And it was really pretty at first because everything was coated and it was just like beautiful.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
And then Saturday night, we got more freezing rain and then it turned into rain. So everything got too heavy.
Yeah.
So all night, I was like terrified. It was so terrifying. It sounded like, you know in Jurassic Park, where you know there's a really big dinosaur coming through the trees, and you hear all the snapping and cracking and trees falling down, right, before you see the dinosaur?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it was like.
Wow.
And there's these big trees at the back of my properties. Like, if they come down, they're coming down on my bedroom.
Yeah.
And it was constant. Like, you heard clumps of ice falling. We heard transformers exploding.
Wow.
Trees falling, branches cracking, trees splitting. Like, between my property backs up on the highway, and between my fence and the highway, there used to be a bunch of trees. There to block the noise and for privacy, and they're gone. They're all gone. My front yard tree, a bunch of big branches are gone from it. The devastation is immense. Like, they've declared a state of emergency for my city. We're actually still in it. Since last week's podcast I did on Thor and Loki, and I was doing some magic with them, I was begging Thor, please give me my power back, please. Because we were going on days, and that means no heat too, folks. Like, It was cold. Yeah.
That's scary. That sounds really scary.
It was. Yeah. I finally got my power back. And most of the city still doesn't. And I thank Thor for that. Because I've been begging him, God of thunder and lightning, right? Lightning, electricity. Help me out here. Thor, help me up.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty scary, but interesting confirmation from Thor and Loki.
Yes.
When you call upon these great beings, they answer. If you believe and you trust that you're going to get some kind of response, you absolutely will, 100%. And I remember the day you told me this was all happening, and you mentioned about doing your podcast with Thor and Loki. I had a dream with a spider in it. And of course, we know Loki is representative with the spider.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, there's definitely something to that.
Yeah.
So
They were with me, coaching me through the whole time. keeping me entertained. Loki and I have a really good relationship for games. So,
trickster.
Yes, yeah. But I love him. Absolutely love him.
It's an interesting energy. Like if you like practical jokes and you don't mind that kind of thing, and I'll tell you a story. I know I shared it with you, but I'll share it with your listeners. Is a couple of months ago when we were discussing Thor and Loki. I do believe it was that because I was talking about symbolisms with spiders,
right?
And you had mentioned about Loki being representing a spider. A spider represents Loki, and I said, okay. So I remember the same day that I talked to you about this, I came to my bedroom and I saw the biggest spider I had ever seen in this house. And I've been living here for 25 years. In my room, never saw a spider in my room ever before. In the corner of my bedroom was a huge spider. And when I first of all, I was in shock to see that because I've never seen that in my room before. And when I went to try to, carefully have it go outside, it disappeared. And it never came back. Never came. And I was frantically looking all over my room for it. I mean, I went everywhere looking, and I couldn't believe it. So, of course, it was like, and I have goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, me too. I just got some too.
Yeah, that was Loki saying hello.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, I tried to get him to refrain from using bugs because, I have an issue with bugs. I'm terrified. Yeah. I just want to say something, though, I haven't told you yet. You know how it was cold, right? This is how cold it was. And you will understand the significance of this. I had 2 pairs of socks on, Mel. 2.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. I hate socks.
Yeah,
For those of you who don't.
Yeah.
I can't stand them.
Article of clothing.
No, and that's part of like my ADHD and a little bit of the tism. I just can't stand. They feel like feet prisons to me. I cannot deal. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, my son too. My son, who's on the spectrum, the minute he can take away his socks, he's a happy camper. The least amount of clothes he can wear, the better off he feels because he feels free.
Well, that's true. Yeah, for me as well. But
he hates the winter months. He hates coats, and
me too.
He will never wear a pair of gloves or a hat. Forget about that. Yeah. That's like a fight and a half. So yeah, I don't even bother. So yeah, the minute he can shed clothing, he is happy.
Yeah, I hate gloves too, and I never wore them ever. Until this year, I started having to because my hands are dried out so bad that they were cracking and it was painful.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, well, we've had a doozy of a winter, so
oh gosh, yeah.
Needing extra layers, even scarves and hats and gloves and all that was a necessity this year.
Well,
it's been crazy winter.
Yeah. I had a chance to live like my ancestors the last couple days, and I'll tell you that I did not enjoy it. I always thought, I've camped and stuff. I could do that. I could live like that. Nope, and nope. Oh, man, am I grateful for power. Oh, yeah.
The modern living is the best living for me. Absolutely. I couldn't do it either. No way.
No, I hated every second of it. I was a crabby bitch. I will not lie.
In freezing cold, I think I would be too.
I couldn't think either. I kept trying to make sense of things and my brain wouldn't work. Because, y'all, I have a gas fireplace downstairs in my house. But it was broken. And I couldn't get the gas guy out here until what day was that? I can't even remember.
Wasn't it Wednesday?
It might have been. Yeah, it was Wednesday or Thursday. I finally got the gas guy out here. Remember, my power went out Friday night. And they fixed my gas fireplace. So doing the God's work there, that guy was.
Miracle,
Yeah, so I had heat at least, for the last couple of days of it. But man, and like I said, most of my city is still out.
Wow.
So I know I'm thanking Thor for that.
Yeah.
I know he had something to do with the fact that my street has electricity right now.
Yeah. Definitely. Absolutely.
But we were talking about like the signs and symbols connected to them and things like that. And I talked about all of that in my podcast. So it's so interesting. But yeah, guys, look for that next Saturday. And then the week after that, I'm going to talk about Merlin. I'm surprised I haven't done it already because that's like my namesake.
Merlin, how do you not talk about Merlin?
I know. But there was some back information that I wanted to verify. And so I put a lot into this, guys. Like every episode that I do is at least 12 hours of fact checking and research to make sure that I'm giving you the right information.
Right. Yeah, we work hard. That's it. That's why you're beloved by your listeners. And by me, of course, because you put your heart and soul into everything you do.
I try.
So yeah, and it shows. It shows with the content and the information that you provide. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, honey. That means a lot to me. It really does.
You're thorough. You're very thorough in what you do.
Thank you. I think that also comes from wounding.
Yeah.
Because, when I was a kid and stuff, I disassociated a lot. So people would always challenge me with what I said because, And especially men. Insecure men love to challenge a woman who's secure in herself or has a brain. Some men cannot wrap their head around the fact that a woman can be attractive and have a brain at the same time.
Right. Well, that's intimidating.
Does not compute.
That's an intimidation for distorted masculine. Absolutely, will feel very intimidated by a woman who is successful, who knows her mind, who knows her heart, and is willing to go after what she wants. If he's distorted, now if he's healed, if he's working on
not like that
healing, then he will appreciate a woman that can bring all that to the table.
Right. But I did experience a lot of that from toxic masculines, like challenge everything I say. So now, I make damn sure that I know what I am talking about before it comes out of my mouth because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Plus, your Capricorn sun is definitely on point with that. Saturn is your planet, and that's about restrictions, that's about scheduling, that's about being diligent and being systematic, and so you're all of that and a bag of chips. So it comes through for sure. Yeah.
So speaking of astrology, let's get into it. Enough about me.
About me, let's talk about me.
So we're in Aries season, guys, and I know that it has felt crazy because we had that blood moon eclipse, which was nuts. But we also had a solar eclipse on the 29th, which was all about merging the sun and moon energy, the conscious self and the unconscious self, head and the heart, which have been in battle for most of 2025 so far.
Yeah, most of my life, actually, but yes.
Multiple ego deaths.
Yeah.
Just in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
So it's been intense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's this eclipse season, and all eclipse seasons are intense. The energy is just amplified. Whatever needs to be released is tenfold. You're going to release even more than you normally would, or whatever you're manifesting, whether it's negative or positive, it's going to be amplified with an eclipse. But the eclipses here, since they're the last pair in the signs of Aries and Libra, it's closing out that cycle of knowing who you are outside of relationship. It's about independence versus dependence. It's about who am I and what do I want for myself versus who I am in relationship sense. So it's about finding autonomy, finding independence with Aries. And that's what we're in now is Aries. And that's why a lot of this energy is about just releasing old patterns of negative relationships and negative mindsets and all the things. Yeah, all the wounding that we have. This was the eclipse to really release all of that, all of those wounds that just keep resurfacing, but they resurface even more so during eclipse season.
Right.
So it's been so intense. Like, I think this was the most intense eclipse energy I think I've ever felt.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think, like, you know, healing is like an onion, right? You're always pulling back layers. And I think there's a certain group, a collective, that are getting down to those last few layers, right? So we're really getting pushed to face those fears, face all of those distractions, and see how we put what we've learned, you know, into effect when we're dealing with little detours and annoyances and things like that, right? I've noticed a lot of that too. I've really been pushed on my annoyance button.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
What are you going to react to? Yeah,
Aries season has always been historically a time where people's tempers tend to be shorter and tend to be more intense, because that's what Aries energy is about. It's about impulsivity. It's about fighting. It's about war. I mean, Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is war.
Right.
So, you know, when you get into that season, it's already, you can feel the shift in energy from Pisces, which is very soft and spiritual in origin, to a very impulsive, the Fool card. The Fool card is what is representative in the deck of the tarot deck, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, you think about what a fool is. A fool is someone who leaps before they think.
Right.
So that's exactly what Aries does. And when you have all these planets retrograding, like Mercury and Venus retrograding in the sign of Aries too.
Yeah.
On top of this eclipse energy, wow. It was like a triple threat almost. It was crazy. Like, I didn't know whether I was coming or going half the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Felt like whiplash, you know, like one thing would happen and then another thing would happen and then another thing would happen. It was like, oh my gosh, like, why? It felt like the walls were caving in at times.
When do I get to take a breath? Yeah.
Yes. It's like, oh my gosh, like, I felt myself being overwhelmed, and overwhelmed is a tough energy to be in when you are going through all of this as it is. Because I know as a collective, but individually speaking, it's been so tough.
Well, it throws your nervous system right off.
Yes, it does. Yes. I've had to go back to breathing, like learning how to breathe again. It was like I was taking all these shallow breaths, and I didn't realize I was doing that because I was like trying to play catch up with all the intensity that was going on. So
oh my gosh.
Okay, wait a minute. So I've had to actually go back to basics and do my breath work again.
Yeah.
And that has helped immensely.
I agree. Yeah, that helps me too. I'm kind of giggling there, and I was trying to hold it in so I didn't like bust out laughing and interrupt you there. But you know what started to play in my head when you were saying breath work was Dochi, Denial is the River. At the very end, oh my God, I love it. I love that song.
It's funny, much. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. It's cute. I like it.
But that part just started playing in my head. But I was also seeing one of the tarot cards in my deck. It's the four. No, maybe it's the two. It's the two of something. But the depiction on it is two men arm wrestling, and what it's depicting is ego and heart.
Okay.
Right. So I feel like with that Mars energy, like that's been at war.
Yeah.
Since I feel like the beginning of the year, but I started to feel that shift around the 29th when we had that solar eclipse and we had all of those things kind of coming into balance. Plus, the equinox is the actual new year in astrology, right? So even though it's felt really chaotic, we are coming into a space of an energetic reset. And that's why things have been so chaotic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We've had to, you know, Aries is new. It's about the new energy wanting to come in, but before new energy can come in, old energy has to leave. And when you had all those planets in Pisces, it was like, okay, you know, that's the whole thing with these eclipses and with the changing nodes and things like that. It's that all the old stories that we've told ourselves, all the old mindsets, all of these beliefs that we've had about what we are and who we should be and what do we want and what do we don't want, it's all coming to a close so we can release that for the new that wants to come in.
Yeah.
You know, new seeds want to be planted.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of those weeds before we can plant those seeds and manifest something different.
Right. And that's why with Mercury and Venus at the same time being in retrograde, that was forcing everyone to look at the way they are in relationships, you know, with themselves too. Yeah. That fighting with head over heart space, right?
Right.
And you would have seen a lot of people, places, things, situations popping back up.
Oh, yeah.
I had a few. Oh, I didn't even get to tell you about the one.
Okay. Okay. Tell.
So, I have been in kind of a little bit of a battle, but I'm not going to say battle because I'm not giving energy to it anymore. After I talk about it right now. But I know someone who is a very dangerous spiritual narcissist. And they put a front on of being a healer. And someone had shown me that they were saying things about me on their social media and like throwing magic my way, nefarious magic and stuff like that. So immediately, right, the Harley Quinn part of Kim was activated. And went, oh, no, you don't. And I bit back for a moment.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it needed to be done. Yeah.
Good. You see, Aries, that Aries energy, you know, in you had enough bullshit.
Right.
And so you had to do something. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how people try to take advantage and think that niceness is weakness and kindness is weakness, or just the kind of turning the other cheek is a weakness. No, it's not.
No.
It takes more strength to hold back than it does to unleash. But there has to be an unleashing, because if not, it just festers in your body. It closes up your throat chakra.
Yeah, it's true.
That affects your thyroid. Yeah. And then you get disease in your physical body.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, yes, I had to say something, I had to do something, but I know that this person was just trying to pull me back into the drama. Just, the nonsense. It's like, no, I'm not engaging. I said what I needed to say,
right?
And that is enough. I'm just done with the energy as far as that goes. And as far as that person trying to send nefarious magic my way. Good luck with that. Yeah. So I'm going to say about that, because we were talking about Loki, right? Yeah. Well, I am what Loki considers quote unquote his.
Okay. So you're protected for sure.
Yeah. And the thing is, we were talking about him being a prankster and a trickster, right?
Right.
So the thing is, and this is one thing I adore about him, is when people do try to be nefarious behind my back or something like that,
right,
he will let them think they're winning for a period of time. And then it's like bang, boom, crash times 100. I would not want to be you. Look out, run for your life.
Of course. The karma catches up for sure.
Yeah. Karma in the form of Loki.
Yeah, we give what we attract what we give out. So if you're going to give out negative vibes, if you're going to speak ill of people, if you're going to do things to intentionally hurt somebody, you're going to get it back tenfold, if not more, because that's just the way the universe works.
I think I brought this up for a reason because I think it needs to be said right now, right? We talk about protecting our energy. Right. And when you run into someone who is quote unquote spiritual, guys, I want you to please do your research. Mm-hmm. Ask that person for their credentials. Okay? Ask to read some reviews.
Right.
If they're legit, they'll be happy to show you those things. If they give you any kind of pushback or kind of get mad about it or, they back up a bit, that's an immediate red flag.
Yeah.
Because this person that I'm talking about right now is presenting themselves to be a healer. This person is a dangerous narcissist.
Yeah, wow.
So if you are of a higher vibration, which obviously you would be, and you're engaging with someone of that vibration, what do you think it's going to do to yours?
Right.
It's just like a doctor, right? You wouldn't let someone who hasn't had a day of medical school operate on you, would you?
Of course not.
Right. It's the same thing with your energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's true. You got to be really careful who you're following, who you're listening to, who you're allowing into your energy. Yeah. Because there are a lot of people out there that they say that their intentions are good and they may be knowledgeable in things like working with energy, but that doesn't mean that they're the right person for you to work with.
And they may only be knowledgeable because they're regurgitating things they're seeing and hearing from other people. Exactly. Not because they know anything about it themselves. Like this person that I'm talking about has done zero of the shadow work themselves. Zero. Mm-hmm. They can't even admit they've ever made a spelling mistake in their life.
Wow. Those are not the people you want to be following at all.
Mm-mm. Or engaging with energy work with.
Right. No. There should be complete transparency, and any person who's legitimate will be happy to share any references, any recommendations, any reviews, any of that. Mm-hmm. They'll be willing to say what kinds of modalities they've worked with, that they've used, whatever certifications. Sometimes people don't even get certified, but
yeah,
because their intention is for the good of all, it doesn't end there. It doesn't have to end there. Because, I mean, if you know about vibes and you know about frequencies and you know about energy and you're an empath and, you're on a high vibe, which has to be all your listeners, because I'm sure that's the only people that would find your podcast, is just to be, you would know. You would just know. Mm-hmm. You would sense it. You would know it. You would feel it if a person is the right fit for you.
Yeah.
If their intentions are good.
Yeah.
And positive.
Yeah. Do your research on it. Like I said, treat it the same way that you would as if you were having a surgery, right? Yeah. You're entitled to a second opinion, right?
Of course. Yeah.
With all things. So, yeah, just be cautious because as we've mentioned before, there's lots of people out there that just do this because they've realized that it's a quick, easy way to make money by really preying upon people who are in a very vulnerable state.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, and it's really, really sad. But talking about the people coming back, situations coming back, all that kind of stuff, this Mercury retrograde is actually over on the 7th. Okay? So we only have a couple more days to go here, guys. But there is the post shadow afterwards for about 2.5 weeks-ish.
Yep.
Right.
So, yeah. And that's sometimes even more confusing than when we're actually in the Mercury retrograde. I've noticed that as the retrograde ends and that 2-week shadow period is still lingering, my electronics seem to have more issues with it.
Yes.
And that's been big. Like the electronics and the internet and my devices have been so wonky. It's crazy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I haven't even had internet or anything for days, so I wouldn't know.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. But Yeah, just before we started today, I thought I was being really smart, and I tried to do something, and I was all ready, and then Mel couldn't hear or see me.
Yep.
I'm like, well, that is not going to work. So much for being organized and ready to go. We had like a 15-minute delay.
That's Mercury retrograde had other plans.
Oh my gosh. Always, yep. All the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So as we were just discussing getting a 15-minute delay starting this because of Mercury retrograde, we got another one because of Zoom.
Yeah. That pesky Mercury.
Oh my goodness.
Always mess. Well, they say Mercury is like representative of child. So children like pranks, you know, they like to play games, and they like to delay what they don't want to do. And basically that's what a retrograde is forcing us to reflect on what it is we need to let go of, you know, and that's retrograde.
Yeah, I think it's funny because we were discussing Loki too, and Loki has the same kind of energy.
Yeah.
People present him to be something evil, you know, and a lot of people are scared to work with him or even like utter his name, and I think you're missing out.
Yeah. You know, though, what I've come to understand about working with higher beings and gods and goddesses and things like that is that if you're not careful, if your intention is not honorable, right, and it's not for the highest good, when you're calling upon these beings, it's a very dangerous thing to do if you don't know what you're doing.
That's true.
So, you know, like it's like playing with a Ouija board almost.
Yeah.
You can't mess around with things that you don't understand.
Yeah. And guys too, like it's cool if you're of a culture and you want to claim it as your own.
Right.
That's awesome. But please Google it and understand something about it.
Right.
Before you start throwing things off. Like that person I was talking about before.
Right.
Is like trying to throw quote unquote magic my way from his Romani gypsy ancestors. Okay, well, if you knew anything about the culture that you're claiming.
Right.
They do rituals and they have practices and things like that, but they're all very, very religion based.
Right.
They're very, very much religion based. They would not be throwing nefarious magic at people.
Right.
Like, you'd be shunned and thrown out for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and you just look more ridiculous.
Well, it makes you look better, right?
Yeah. And going back to you were talking about if you have natural gifts, you're a natural empath and stuff like that. I think in those situations, I think you should seek some sort of certification for yourself, right? Just so it's more legitimizing for yourself. Not that you need it, but trust me, it just works out better, right? Because this world is full of skeptics, you know? So I lean more to the holistic side of healing, you know that. But Mel also knows, like, I also have medicine to back it up, you know? I went to college and that for nursing, you know, I have my metaphysical doctorate, you know, all these things, along with all the certifications that I do have for energy work.
Right.
I have both, just to legitimize myself. Again, part of that from the wounding we talked about earlier. Right. Like, if I'm going to know something, I'm going to know it, so you can't challenge me.
Right. And you can just back up whatever you say anyway because you have all of this experience. So,
Yeah, years of it, too. Yeah. So, another retrograde that's ending soon, thankfully, is Venus on the 12th.
Yeah. So all of those relationship stories that we've told ourselves. I've noticed, personally speaking, that with retrogrades, you usually have like we touched upon before, about the exes or the ex-friends or the whatever, romantic interest, whatever it is. They're creeping up. They're creeping up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're creeping up even in my dreams. And even bumping into a couple in the street. There's a couple of friends that I haven't really kept in touch with. All of a sudden, I saw two of them in one day, and I was like, what is this about? Yeah. And of course, it's reflecting. How did these people affect me in some way? What was their influence on me? What vibration was I on? What frequency was I on? Like, how did I attract these individuals into my reality? Right. There's something to that. And now that my ideals, my mindset has changed a bit. I've raised I try to raise my vibration. I try to do my shadow work and do my healing work. I see that a lot of people have kind of spiraled out of my life. So it's all part of this cycle. Yeah. This cycle. The retrogrades are just trying to move things along so that we're more in line with the path that we're meant to follow.
Yeah. It's also about, like, what wound did you have, right?
Right.
That's why you also attract people into your life.
Sure.
For the same wounding.
Oh, yeah.
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 But that's the way you're supposed to look at it, right? Taking responsibility, kind of like, okay, what was my role in, what did I have going on that had this person or this relationship come into my existence? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It was last retrograde for me that I ran into, like, 2 exes in 1 week that I hadn't seen in years. And it was like, what the hell?
Right.
Yeah, but it was kind of spirit, like, remember when you wanted this? Remember that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Remember how bad you wanted this? Yeah. And the now me was like,
dodged a bullet there.
Yeah. Thank you, my guides, for not listening to me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just the strangest things how these things happen, and you bump into these people that are not in your reality now anymore, and you reflect, and I've seen myself do that, like, over and over again. It's like I'm in this period of reflection that it's interesting. It's painful at times because, again, I have a Chiron in Aries. We're in Chiron in Aries. Yep. There's a lot of conjunctions going on. There's a lot of signs in Aries.
Wounded healer energy, guys. Yeah.
So it's come into play where I've been rethinking and questioning my existence. Like, I felt like I've suffered an ego death through this eclipse. I really feel like
existential crisis to the max.
Yeah, just
a few of them.
questioning everything. Like, who am I and what am I doing? Am I still on purpose? Do I still enjoy the same things that I did? Am I still looking to the same people? Why am I not wanting to vibe with these people anymore? I don't vibe with them. Why don't I vibe with them? Like, what's going on? Like, am I on purpose? Really? Who am I aside from the titles that I hold? That was a big thing for me this eclipse season.
Same.
Was who am I outside of being someone's wife or mother or daughter or friend or teacher or whatever it is? Like, who am I? Who is Melissa? Who do I represent? Yeah. Like, it's not just about the titles I hold. It's about who am I as a soul? What am I supposed to be doing here?
Yeah.
And so a lot of that has been coming forth.
You know what I think some of that is too? Dropping more into our authenticity. So when we drop our masks, that we've been wearing for such a long time in those roles that you mentioned, right? We kind of get on autopilot with it. Yeah. And it's like, okay, once I take those masks off and put those characters aside, what do I want?
Right.
Me. What's important to me? now, you know, and when you wear those masks for such a long time, sometimes you lose sight of that.
Right.
You know, and that's part of that whole existential crisis that's been happening, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen that happening with a lot of people, myself included, and a lot of my clients as well.
Yeah, it's like you have to rediscover who you are.
Yeah,
you know?
And what is important to you and what you want outside of other people's expectations and things like that. I've seen that as been a big, you know, that was something I went over with Thor, you know, when I was doing that episode, because a lot of Thor's adventures and things like that were based on the expectations of Odin. Right? And we can all resonate with that, having the expectations of our parents on us, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And trying to live up to those or make other people happy. So, you know, now we're letting all those things go. What makes me happy?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not easy. It's not easy when you've been living a life to please other people.
Not at all.
So it's like almost like starting over. Like, okay, I got to start from square one. Like, who am I? What do I like? What do I want? What am I drawn to? And it's I feel myself revisiting things that I dabbled into before, and now I look at it with a whole new set of eyes almost. And it's like, wow. And some things that I thought I was really interested in, I don't even want to look at anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, where did this come from? Like, where was the shift? And it's just the state that we're in now. It's all about rediscovering who we are. I think.
Yeah. And I think too, running into these people it also shows you like how far you've come when they're still in the same place.
Right.
You can see they're still rotating in their same cycle. They still have the same stuff going on, just with different players.
Right.
You know. And it's like, no, that was my first thing, was like, I don't want to be a part of that.
Right.
I don't want to let that back into my life. It's too much drama. It's too much.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yesterday, for example, I told you I bumped into two separate people that I used to associate with. One I adore. I love her very much. But there was another one who happened to be the ex-boyfriend of a friend of mine. And when I bumped into him, I actually was fearful. Like, all of a sudden in my body, I felt tense because that he represents to me a period in my life where there was a lot of drama and a lot of chaos, and the two of them together were toxic to begin with. So for me, seeing him, it's like going and revisiting toxicity again.
Yeah.
Even though he's a nice person, but when he's together or was together with my friend, they were toxic together. They were just two very different people. So there was a lot of drama and toxicity involved with them. And so seeing him kind of made me scared. Like it shocked me. And I was not prepared for that reaction. But I was like, why is that? And so I had to reflect, why did I feel that way? And I understood now that, wait a minute, I'm afraid I'm going to fall back into that same pattern of being connected with people on a different frequency than I am right now. Yeah. So I don't want to do that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen, like, with clients and other people too, that they have spiraled back into things, you know?
Yeah.
And you got to give yourself grace when that happens, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and myself, I spiraled back into engaging in the drama with said person, you know?
Right.
Could have just left it at the, don't fuck with me, and move on, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
But still, I think in reflection, I think we still we handle things differently now because we can reflect on these things and these people and these situations. And I bet you our reactions were different than they would have been even a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. I would have absolutely thrown magic right back at this person.
Right.
And that is a big deal, guys. I have to tell you that because I can count on one hand how many times I have done that in my life. So it has to be a very extreme situation. But, yeah, Loki kept telling me, give it to me, babe. Give it to me.
Yeah. And you see, just to be able to stop yourself from doing what you probably wanted to do at that moment.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of taking yourself back from it and allowing the being higher than yourself to handle that situation and direct you and guide you to do it a certain way that you maybe wouldn't have done it before. That's a whole change. That's a whole different frequency.
Yeah. 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 You're right. You're right. I am pretty proud of that. Because it would have been an immediate, like, to me, that's like a magical punch in the face. So I immediately would have dropped mitts. You know?
Right. Yeah.
That's Canadian for ready to fight. And swung right back.
Right.
And knocked their ass right out. Like, how dare you even try?
Yeah.
But, no, I'm just letting it go. Letting it to Loki.
See? That goes to show you that your vibration is higher than it was before.
Yeah. I also think that this Venus retrograde too, not just relationships with people in general, right? And relationship with self, but I think too with your own deities who you connect to. Because like I had some religious conditioning. We talked about that before, right?
Right.
From my dad. And that was hard to shake off for a long time. But I found once I did, wow. It was like, that connection was just, I can't even describe. It's like picking up a phone and then being like, hey, how's it going? You know?
Right.
It's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
As soon as I dropped that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because the conditioning creates blocks, and so we don't allow what wants to come through to us come through because we're blocking it with all the conditioning that we have.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you drop that, all of those conditions that people have given us, all of these ideas and things, traditions and religion and all those kinds of things that we incorporate subconsciously sometimes, it just can stop the flow. Stop the flow of the divine.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what was really cool, actually, that I think was kind of healing for me, that popped up during this retrograde and gave me a bit of healing on that religion wound, was Pope Francis. Like, I don't want to bring politics into this at all, and we're not going to talk about it any further than just the statement. But Pope Francis made a statement that's saying, we are not going to listen to Velveeta Voldemort. And he told all the other leaders, we are not, that's not, you know, pretty much that's the Antichrist, you know. And I was raised Catholic, as you know, and what the Pope says goes. So that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. So that restored my faith a little bit, this much. Wish you guys could see how much I'm doing with my fingers. Not very.
Right.
But
right. Teeny weeny.
Tiny bit restored my faith in religious leaders doing the right thing.
Right.
And it healed that wound a little bit.
Okay.
I still have a lot of healing to do with that. I do not forgive the Catholic Church at all for their treatment of Indigenous people. And still, it just, we're not even going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. But yeah, the Pope doing that was kind of healing for me a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it helped me drop a little bit more of a layer there.
Good.
And gave me more of a, you know, stronger connection to my other deities.
Oh, good. Yeah, see, I mean, I personally think that religions are established to get people to understand that there's a power bigger than themselves. And in order for certain individuals to understand that concept, that there are beings greater than yourself, that that you have to honor something. You know?
That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah.
It really is. Because I just always look at it in the nonsense way. You know, it was created by patriarchy just as a form of control, and it's still being used that way.
Right.
You know, it's the book of fiction is manipulated every which way from Sunday to suit whoever's needs at the time. So,
well, I mean,
but that is a really good way to look at it, and I'm going to try and flip my perception to that.
Right. It's something that when I was in college, I took a class on world religions.
Yeah, I did that too.
I started, and I was interested to learn religions in an educational setting, more like a general setting versus a religious aspect to it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't easy because of my religious programming to see the Bible as a book and kind of decipher the literal words to the page versus the spiritual meaning or the religious meaning to it, and all these other books that I studied in this class. And it made me understand that, to me, religion was just designed by a power higher than us to get us to understand that we have to have a sense of gratitude.
A sense
and we
of
have
faith.
to have we have to have faith, and we have to have gratitude for the blessings that we have in our lives, basically.
Do you know the best quote I ever heard in my life is from one of my favorite movies, Dogma. Kevin Smith, I love him. I think he's friggin' brilliant. He doesn't get enough credit for the genius that he actually is. But that movie, to me, was like a big deal because when it came out, I was still kind of hanging on to a lot of that conditioning, and it helped me not. But anyway, Salma Hayek's character in that movie, she says that humans got it all wrong. They're too self-righteous to understand that it doesn't matter what you have faith in as long as you have faith.
Right.
And that quote to me was like, oh, you know, like a lightning bolt through my body. Like, whoa, okay. It was almost like permission, right? Because I felt so pulled in two directions as a child, because my dad's side was very Catholic, and that's what he was very controlling, and he decided, and we went to Catholic school, and, you know, we didn't go to church or anything like that, but all that. And it was my mother's side that was where the shamanism and going Norse all the way back to like the beginning of recorded time. So crazy.
Yeah.
And I always felt so split in two.
Yeah, I understand that completely. My father was Jewish.
Yeah.
My mother was
You
a
get
Pentecostal. So it's like, wait a minute. I grew up in a household where my father would fight with my mother for putting up a Christmas tree and for wanting to take me to church because, of course, he didn't believe in that. It's like, so I had these two different extreme views of religion, and so I guess as an adult, I decided I'm not going to do any of that, and I will dabble in what I feel is appropriate for me and my family, which is what I do.
Yeah.
So
that's eclectic paganism.
Tree. Yeah, I put up a Christmas tree and I put up a menorah.
A pagan tree.
You know, so whatever. A tree. I decorate a tree. And,
Thank you.
You know, I kind of like try to satisfy all of my aspects that I believe and I hold true and I enjoy and my children enjoy. So it's really very challenging to have conflicting views on things.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because now, like for the last, long while now, you know, I've been pulled more to the Norse side of things. So I celebrate Yule and those things instead. And that's hard because my family still celebrates Christmas and I try to correct them all the time. Just like I did to you. Sorry, it's a habit. I can't help it. It's not a Christmas tree, it's a pagan tree.
It's okay. You know what? We all got to believe in something, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not believing. That's history. It was stolen. But, yeah. But so and that triggers me a bit too. I get a little triggery around Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a wound. I mean, we all have them.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And I think that's more of a collective thing, that wound of appropriation.
Right.
Yeah. And that goes even further, that that wound of land too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big one. And I've seen a lot of that being brought up too recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, it's because it's been a big topic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I like to see it being brought up because people are actually talking about it.
Right.
That's it's shining light on all these things, these terrible atrocities. And and we need to look at it. You can't run from it. This one thing, I have mad respect for Germany for. They don't run from their history at all.
Right.
They're like, yeah, mistakes were made. They just like, yep, we're not proud of it. It's not who we are now, but we're not going to say it didn't happen,
Right.
Or, yeah, they take responsibility for it. I have mad respect for them for that.
Well, I mean, if you don't acknowledge something happens, then you're condemned to repeat it if you don't realize that it was a mistake in the first place.
That's right. Yeah. Other countries need to follow suit and learn something.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm just seeing more and more of it. I think it's really beautiful. And I just have to give a shout out to the Premier of Manitoba because I'm sure you've heard many Indigenous women go missing and nobody knows anything about it. Nobody talks about it.
Right.
Anyways, they were honoring one of the women, Ashley, who was found as a victim of one of the serial killers. And her father wanted to come to the press conference, but he couldn't make it due to weather. And he asked him to sing a song, and he did.
Aww.
Because he's Native.
Yeah.
So, and he did. He sang a beautiful, it was very short, but very symbolic. And he said her name, and it was really, really beautiful and really moving. Like that is how a leader should behave.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. Loved that. Absolutely loved that. But astrology wise, like everything that's kind of being brought up right now, like it's all deep wounding stuff, right? Like deep stuff.
Yes.
And collectively deep stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see a little bit of a reprieve on this in more the middle of the month, because the 18th is more like the reignition of inner fire. If we felt stagnant, Mars is finally leaving Cancer because it's very uncomfortable there.
Yeah, thank goodness for that.
Yeah, it's moving into Leo. So there'll be more of that fun, diva type of energy. Like I want to step out.
Drama.
Yeah, but fun. Like I want to step out. I want to be seen. Like, I'm seeing RuPaul in my head right now. I have no idea if RuPaul is a Leo, but that's the energy that I'm getting.
Right. Yeah. Sachet front Shantae?
Yeah. Love it. Love it. But that's just, and Leo again is fire, and it's star energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leo season is usually a fun, fiery time.
Yeah, it's lighter fun.
Yes.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even though the fire can be intense of the lion sometimes, but it really is more of a fun chaos.
Yeah. Well, I think Mars will do better in Leo than it does in Cancer. I mean, in Cancer, it's detrimental and it's just uncomfortable as hell.
Yeah, that's the worst place for Mars to be.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Cancer's all about nurturing and loving and mommy energy, and you stick it into Mars, which is about war and fire and passion and doing and action. And it's like, what am I doing here?
But also, because we've been in a retrograde, it's kind of been in a more toxic Cancer energy. And it's more that toxic mom energy, that codependent, I'm going to hang on for my life, saboteur, gossip. What are the other dark aspects of Cancer?
I don't know, like overbearing almost, because I know that. Yeah. You know, you can be overbearing, and you can be the opposite of nurturing. You could be overbearing, like, which is an extreme nurturer, versus not giving a damn, neglectful. That can be the other side to a distorted Cancer energy, is just not wanting to be bothered, like kind of shutting yourself off to people, things outside of yourself.
Victimy.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, victimhood is for sure.
And
that.
On the more extreme end of the spectrum, very covert narcissism-y.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and so almost, I don't want to say stubborn, but they can be very
rigid.
I guess that's a good word. Yeah, that's true. They can be, and their Cancer is a cardinal sign, but it's a cardinal sign that's very emotional. So you can be almost overly emotional now because of the Mars in the Cancer situation. So.
And dramatic.
Yeah.
You know what energy I'm kind of getting right now? Moira Rose.
Shit's Creek.
Her character. Because it's always like about Moira. Always. Yeah.
Yes. It's all about me.
Yeah. I am the main character, and you all are just actors in my play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's Leo energy too.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
It is Leo energy.
Yeah. They kind of share that. That's funny.
Well, I mean, Leo and Cancer, they're right next to one another, so they do share certain aspects.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially if you're on the cusp of both of them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. My husband, he's a Leo. He's a July 31st Leo, so he tends to be very dramatic and very, but I don't mean, more like theatrical dramatic.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like he's very theatrical. He likes to tell a lot of jokes, and he likes to have a lot of attention. But yet, because he's close to the Cancer, he's a nurturer too. Like he does try to nurture those people that he cares about, which is a really nice aspect to him.
Yeah.
But his theatrics can be quite comical.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're over an hour now. It doesn't even feel like that when we're just hanging out and talking. But my computer's dying here, so I'm going to have to wrap it up. It just actually cut Mel right off, so I'll say goodbye for her. Thank you all so much for being here. We love you all so much, and I will see you next week with the Thor and Loki episode. Don't forget to follow me on my social media. I will link all of that below for you in my link tree. I'm at _Miss Merlin on all platforms. You can also find out about getting services with me on there as well, in my pinned videos or in my highlights. So again, guys, stay magical. Till next time. Bye.